audience is about to shoot unscripted questions. This is Agenda Kenya with Jason Nyantino.
On Agenda Kenya tonight, Engineer Abdullahi Sharawe, Commissioner, Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, Honorable Ababu Namwamba, Member of Parliament, Budalangi, Charles Nyachai, Chairman, Commission on the Implementation of the Constitution, CIC, and last but not least, Chao Mwakio, Community Leader, Taita Taveta County. Many thanks for joining us. Welcome to Agenda Kenya this week. I am Jason Nyantino. Tonight on this program, we focus on the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, and its track record. Is it on course to deliver a free and fair general election? I've got fantastic audience members coming all the way from Bungoma County, Narok County, and of course, Nairobi County. Welcome aboard. Our first question is from Apopo Apopo, who is an environmental consultant.
The question goes to the Commissioner for the IEBC about what informed the IEBC the decision to announce the election date on Saturday. The principal said that the deadline for the announcement was, for their agreement was supposed to be on a Friday, so that by Saturday you have announced the date. Does it mean also that when the Speaker of the National Assembly decides that he has not announced the writ for the parliamentary seat of Kangema, that you'll again announce the date for by-election for Kangema?
Why couldn't you wait for the consultations to end? How did you know that the two principals have ceased to consult?
What prompted is first the court ruling. And the court was very clear that we had to go to two options. One is ask the two principals to dissolve the coalition in accordance with Section 6B of the National Accord Act. That was one option. The other option was to wait for the parliament to complete its term, which ends 14th of January next year. So we did, as a commission, write the two principals on February 8th to ask them, can they look and consult on option one? We followed. We did not get any response. The only response we got was through the public and the media giving different opinion. Then we wrote another letter on 8th March, requested for the same, and there was nothing coming. So we moved and asked for appointments. We were given appointments, two of them separately, and we did get from the discussions we had that they don't have a common stand. I think prior to that, I think what is important is that the commission had a retreat in Mombasa between 22nd and 26th of February to discuss the same thing. Therefore, it's not like as if we were waiting for them only to come up. The commission had a vigorous internal, as a responsibility to prepare for the examination, for the elections. And therefore, actually, by that retreat, the commission had already assessed the options.
All right, thank you. Honorable Namwamba, do you think IEBC acted in law, within the law?
First of all, I think we need to appreciate that we are operating within a new constitutional dispensation. And within the new constitution, the election date is predetermined, and that is why the constitution makes it clear that elections will be held every second Tuesday of every August in the 5th year following the last general election. But the situation we are faced right now is what lawyers would call a situation sui generis. It is a situation of a peculiar kind. It's a special circumstance, in the sense that whereas the Constitution sets a definite date for elections, it also protects the term of the current parliament and the current government, which then took this matter to court because of controversy. And the court made a ruling providing two limbs. In the second limb, where the court says that election could be held upon expiry of the term of the current parliament,
Yes.
it hands the IEBC the express responsibility to name the date. Which of course,
before the expiry or after the expiry of parliament?
the court grants the IEBC, and that is pretty constitutional, the prerogative. It's actually a prerogative. It's a prerogative power.
If you allow me, within,
Yes, just clarify that.
if you allow me, it gives the commission authority to determine the date within 60 days.
Okay. But what I want to understand
Yes.
from Honorable Babu is, does this freedom to decide that date come after the expiry of parliament or before?
I'm calling it a prerogative license, because that is what it is. Remember, never again after this election will anybody have the authority to tell us the election date. Never again. This is the last time ever that any authority in this country will ever announce the election date. The election date is now
according
determined.
to you, they follow the law.
This peculiar circumstance, which necessitated court action, allowed the judiciary to intervene as anticipated by the court, because the court does allow the judiciary to intervene.
All right.
And in that intervention, it grants the IEBC this one-off privilege,
All right.
the one-off privilege to set the date.
Thank you. Chow, what is your position in this?
I think I concur with the IEBC by giving us the date, because at 2013 March, the life of this parliament would have expired. Yes.
So, but there are those arguments, because the life of parliament ends on, I think, 14th of January.
Yeah. 14th January 2013. Yes.
So then, there are those who feel the election should have come much earlier than that.
No, I don't.
But Jason, isn't that the reason we went to court? We went to court because we had 40 million opinions. We had as many opinions as there are citizens of this country. And if we are not living in a jungle, if we are governed by the rule of law says when we have that state of uncertainty and anxiety, we go to one authority that the Constitution has granted the power and the authority to arbitrate, and that's the judiciary.
So as a member of parliament,
Yes.
Honorable Babu, you are for the March 2013 election.
I can tell you for certainty that I sat in Naivasha and participated robustly in writing this Constitution. And I was clear, as I am today, that elections should be held in August. That is something that I am completely convinced that we can hold elections in August. But we have prevaricated and circumlocuted so much on this matter that even the possibility now of having an August election is impossible.
Your English is very nice.
But
tell us, are you, before I go to Charles, are you for March or for December? That's when the Mwananchi
I would
wants
have
to know.
preferred
Hang on, Mheshimiwa. March or December?
Vox Populi, Vox Dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God. The people of Kenya want a December election.
Thank
I
you.
really wish.
Thank you for that. Now, Charles, is there a provision in law where IEBC has power to set an election date?
Yes. First of all, let me vary a little from what Mheshimiwa has said. I think if we're talking about what the people of Kenya wanted, the people of Kenya actually wanted an election in August, not even December. And you will recall, it's a matter of public record, that CIC's reading of the Constitution, and that remains our reading of the Constitution, is that that election should be held in August. But the important thing here is that we have a Constitution which tells us how we resolve issues, how we resolve disputes, how we interpret the Constitution. And it tells us that the final arbiter on any constitutional issue of interpretation that arises is the court. IBC went to court on this matter. The court gave a ruling in January, and in either event of the two options that the court gave, whether it is the National Assembly serving its full term up to the 14th of January, or whether it is the principals agreeing in writing to dissolve the coalition government, in either event, following that event, it is IEBC which actually sets the election date. And I also want to say to my friend Apopo, the concern that he has. if today the principals were to agree in writing to dissolve the coalition government, in terms of the constitution and the court ruling that was given in January, IEBC would have to change its date to bring it to accord with what the
decision shall have been.
Yeah. So I don't think really it is a legitimate argument that IEBC should have waited for the principals.
All right.
In fact, I dare say, I think IEBC would have given that date even the day after the court gave its ruling.
Thank you.
I think it is also important.
Before, let me take some more questions and you'll have time to respond. The gentleman at the back in a tie, striped shirt.
My name is Hesbon. The Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs had a bill in Parliament which was touching on the election date and an issue on Chapter 4 about 2/3 of either gender in representative offices. Now, I don't think that the bill has been withdrawn from the floor of the House, which Mayor will maybe tell us, but the IEBC has gone ahead and announced the date. Now, what is the scenario here? The bill has not been withdrawn. The issue, the zone issue about the 2/3 majority has not been addressed, and we are going for elections.
That bill is still pretty much alive. If the minister, and I have heard rumors, unconfirmed rumors that the minister does intend to withdraw that bill. But as far as I know, the bill came to the House, it was committed to committee. The committee in which I sit, the Committee on Implementation of the Constitution, has been processing that bill. We held 23 public meetings, public hearings across the country. I remember chairing a public hearing in Bungoma with over almost 300 Kenyans giving their views on this matter. And so this matter will certainly have to come to the House for deliberation. And in fact, it's a fundamental point that needs to be noted here, that if Parliament wishes to set this record straight and clear all these doubts, then Parliament should pass that bill. And in fact, I want to challenge the Minister for Constitutional Affairs, Honorable Mutula Kilonzo. Bring that bill to the House like yesterday and rally Parliament to pass that bill and set the election date for the 3rd Monday of December and just settle this matter. That's the best way to really end this debate. But in the absence of that legislative action, really, we have to look to the IEBC to provide guidance here.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, clarify as you respond.
Mheshimiwa,
yes.
I agree with what Mheshimiwa is saying, that Parliament can change that date by constitutional amendment. Where I don't agree is that would be a clarification of the legal position, because there is no lack of clarity in the legal position. I mean, Parliament can make a political decision, whether it's on behalf of the people of Kenya or it is in the interests of parliamentarians, but they can make that political decision to muster 2/3 majority to amend the constitution. And that would change the date. But even if they don't, to my mind, there is absolutely no lack of clarity in terms of the legal position that what IEBC...
The clarity is actually about the public debate.
Okay.
The public debate and uncertainties.
Thank you for that. It's time for a break now, but we'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back to Agenda Kenya with me, Jason Nyantino. Tonight, we are focusing on the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, and we want to find out, are they on course to delivering a free and fair election? My next question of the evening is from Robert Ojala, who is a student. Robert, your question.
I wanted to ask about the credibility of the IEBC. Given that the next election will be held March next year, this just suddenly after the President Kibaki also supported this. So is this fair? Because it's like you're favoring the other side of the government, which is the PNU side of the government. Is this very fair? Thank you.
He's talking about credibility, and your decision appeared to side with one arm of government.
First of all, I would like to to say that the fact that the election date has been announced as 4th of March does not suspend the expected by-elections. If there are any by-elections, it will be done in accordance with the law. So that does not do it. Are we siding with one side of it? I think that is not correct. As I have told you, the Commission has been seriously thinking about the election date as a part of our preparedness from the first time the court order was given. And if anybody else who was interested in the election did not think about it, I think that is that might have been just because of other reasons.
So you believe,
actually,
Commissioner?
Actually, yes.
You believe politics has not engineered your decision?
That is why I'm saying we were in Mombasa as a commission from 22nd to 26th of February. We did actually discuss it. 28th, we came back to Nairobi, we concreted it, and therefore we knew this date before anybody else talked about it. So, absolutely. And how was it reached? I think that is very important, perhaps.
Quickly, please.
Quickly. The parliament ends on 14th of January. It says this election must be done within 60 days. So that means between 15th January and 15th March. Political parties must do the nomination within 45 days. That allows you, and if you do that calculation, that date will give you 28th of February. 28th of February is a Friday. We can have an election on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we went the next Monday, which is 4th. That is something which has been done through a calculation based on the timeline available. So it is
something I wanted to respond to very quickly,
yes.
Commissioner. We have reports that the CEO, James Oswago, has given an alternative date, which is December 17th date. Are you privy to this information?
I think the Commission has set the election date for 4th March. It can only change in 3 circumstances. If the 2 principals in writing dissolve the elections, if there is a court decision on that, and if the Parliament amends the law.
So you do not agree?
That is only 3 aspects of it, and once that is done, the Commission will meet and communicate formally.
So you do not agree with what James Oswago said?
Well, James Oswago and everybody else has the right to plan.
But
He's in charge of planning.
It was not official.
There is no official communication on Commission decision on 14.
Honorable,
thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Honorable Babu, do you feel that IEBC is leaning towards the PNU arm of government?
Unless you demonstrate that, I have no reason to question the intentions of the IEBC. Just to caution Kenyans that the last time we questioned the integrity of a commission, the last time we questioned the integrity of the judiciary, this country burned. And in response to that conflagration, we set about giving ourselves a new constitution and restructuring all institutions of state. We have restructured the judiciary.
As you respond, Mheshimiwa, ODM, which is your party, has expressed such feelings.
My party is entitled to hold a position as a party. I, as a Babu Namwamba, am entitled to hold a position as a Babu Namwamba, as a member of parliament. And more importantly, I now speak as an attorney, as a lawyer. And as a lawyer, I am saying that we have invested enormously in restructuring this referee for electoral contests. And we want this referee to be accorded sufficient time and support to be able to referee this game effectively. And that will entail respecting the authority of this referee. If from the very beginning we want to start calling into question the integrity of this referee, then I shudder to imagine whether we'll even respect the verdict of this referee.
Thank
so
you.
The politics, let us politic. And I actually want to tell the politicians, the IEBC has done this because of failure of the political class.
Where you belong?
I belong there, but I'm a lone voice, unfortunately.
Sorry for the loneliness.
Because I believe that if the 2 principals had acted responsibly and done what the court had advised to do, if Parliament had acted responsibly and dealt with this amendment within a reasonable time, then we wouldn't be here. So really, IEBC should not be blamed for cleaning after the mess of the political class.
All right, Chao, what do you think? You're from Taita Taveta County, isn't it? What are the people saying down there? Are people happy with this decision? From where you see it, what are the people saying?
Yeah, the people are happy with this decision because we gave IEBC some work to do. Parliament did fail us, Mheshimiwa Babu na Mwamba. So IEBC took over, and we are very grateful for IEBC because we want to be prepared for the next elections. And this time round, we want to get the elections right.
All right,
Thank you.
Charles.
Thank you, Jason. I was just going to say, in answer to my brother's question over there, and in addition, and in complete agreement with Mheshimiwa Babu na Mwamba, that even if both principals had agreed on a December date, but failed to reduce that to a written agreement to dissolve the coalition agreement, in which case there would be no issue of siding one with the other. Even if they did that, it would be unconstitutional and it would be wrong. Okay. So the issue is before we can cast any aspersions against IEBC, we must first of all demonstrate that IEBC has acted wrongly or in contravention of the Constitution or in contravention of the law. In the absence of that, I think it is very unfortunate and very erroneous for any of us Kenyans to, as Mheshimiwa says, to cast aspersions against a referee whom we have given a mandate to do and is carrying out that mandate in the precise terms we have given.
Thank you, Charles. We need to go to the audience now. I'll start from my extreme left, second row, gentleman in a tie.
Ochwacho Jango. I tend to disagree with what Commissioner Sharawi is saying on various grounds. The IEBC chairman, Mr. Isaac Hassan, has come on record clearly, initially, that they were ready for a December election. And then suddenly, when the president was in Sagana, he comes up with an election of March 2013. And then after a short while, the commissioner announces to the Republic of Kenya the views of the head of state when he was in Sagana. That, to me, as an individual, it's an indicator that perhaps the commission is dancing at the whims of the executive.
All right. Commissioner will clarify that. I'll take, yes, the lady in front of me here, first row.
My name is Grace. I'm a businesswoman. I come from Kibera. The issue of elections date, according to my view, I think it's the court who has failed Kenyans. Because when this weighty issue of election date was taken to court, they threw it back again to the principals. And do you know the principals are just politicians? Example, the PM and the president, who are there in politics through and through. I can't see whereby you can take a goat to trial and you take a henna to be the judge.
All right. Engineer Sharawa, you can respond. Yes.
I think it is very important for the Kenyans to know that no principal or two of them together can decide an election date, even if they dissolve the coalition. They have no legal or any other mandate to decide on election date. What they can do is to dissolve the coalition. After that, the commission then takes it and sets a date. I think it is important for the Kenyans to know we were not expecting an election date from the principals because they have no that constitutional or legal mandate at all. Therefore, the decision reached by the commission, I think it is important for the Kenyans to know that there is need for Kenyans to prepare for election because a fair and free election can only be done when people have prepared for it. Okay. Therefore, it is absolutely important for the Kenyans to know that is what it is. The only bringing elections earlier will perhaps have meant perhaps the MPs, sitting MPs being in parliament,
Thank you.
The thing to go on.
Thank you. Charles, let Charles respond first. As you respond, I want you to also include there's that, what Commissioner has just said, your colleague. Yeah. He has said that if the coalition government is dissolved, there was also another feeling that it throws us into a constitutional crisis. Does that mean if the coalition government is dissolved today, parliament shall be dissolved?
You know, we must, ladies and gentlemen, and the people of Kenya at large, we must have faith in the institutions that you yourselves, by adopting the Constitution of Kenya 2010, have given certain mandate. In this particular case, the IEBC had two options. The first option was to set a date based on that which was certain, the end of the life of the 10th Parliament, which is what they have done. The other option, and it's very important Kenyans understand this, the other option would have been for IEBC to sit and wait for the principals to agree in writing to dissolve the coalition government, something they have no obligation to do, something that may never happen. So IEBC sits and waits, and we come to the end of the year, and they're still sitting and waiting. I mean, is that really what we expect from a responsible commission that has been given a mandate? And there's something that my brothers keep forgetting. Notwithstanding that IEBC has set this date, even today, the principals can change that date by simply agreeing in writing to dissolve the coalition government.
So do you think the courts failed Kenyans?
No, absolutely not. The courts gave Kenyans a very precise solution to a problem, which was the problem of this first election in the transition period. So I do not accept that the courts failed. Kenyans.
Thank you. Mheshimiwa, you had something to add.
I just wanted to tell Commissioner and IEBC that the concern Ojanga is raising there is a fundamental concern. Whether or not you have pandered to the whims of the executive or a section of the executive, that perception must be addressed, and it must be clarified, because if you allow that perception to gain currency, it's going to hobble the commission. It's going to compromise the integrity of the commission. So the commission, whether you're going to go by the date you have announced or whether that date is going to be varied, you have to look Kenyans in the face, eyeball to eyeball, and convince them that this is not a compromised decision. That is critical, Jason, for purpose of the integrity of the commission.
You want to respond to that? Quickly,
yes,
please.
Mheshimiwa, I think in a situation where IEBC has delivered on its mandate and there is nothing on the face of that demonstrates that legally or constitutionally they have erred, then I think the issue that Mheshimiwa says, and I agree it's critical, but I think the people that we should be looking at in the eyeball and telling them to handle this matter in a responsible manner is not IEBC, it's the political class.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that. Time for our second break. But before we do that, if you're watching us from home, you can respond to this question. Do you trust the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC? Text your response to the number on your screen. Give us your name and where you're watching us from. You can also catch us on Twitter using hashtag Agenda Kenya. We are back in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching Agenda Kenya with me, Jason Nyantino. Tonight we are focusing on the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Is this the magic bullet to deliver Kenya a free and fair general election? My next question of the evening is from Milka Njoki, who is a marketer.
I wanted to ask, a while back there was a debate on how long a voter should take inside the ballot. And someone was suggesting 25 minutes. An intelligent voter should take 25 minutes. So my question is, intelligent or otherwise, what do you need 25 minutes for? You already know whom you're voting for. So, I mean, it's just a matter of ticking, which may take even less than the 2 minutes allocated. Thank you.
Thank you, Milka. Commissioner, she's talking about the voting now. We're inside the polling station, and we are going to vote for 7 people, if I'm not wrong? 6. So have you figured that out?
I think it's important that for the first time, first of all, we are going for 3 types of election: the presidential, the parliamentary, and the county. And the presidential is 1, then you have the parliamentary 3, the MP, the senator, and the women representative. Then you have the governor and the members of the county assemblies. So these are 6 things. And I think your question is relevant because we need to know how long will it take. And in fact, that is why we are organizing a mock election in Kajiado North constituents and Malindi constituents. We want to know,
that is the ballot.
These are the ballots.
Paper. Okay.
We want to know how long it will take you. It does not mean the turnout should be 100%. If we get 1,000 people who will come, we would like to know if we will use 6 ballot boxes, or do we use 3 ballot boxes? If we give you this, how long it will take you? I think this is important for us for this mock election. We want to know how is the logistic, how is the cost, how is the staff requirement. These are things we like to know from mock. What will be the risks we want to assess? And we'll ask if, anybody interested, especially the civil society, to come as observers, as monitors in these places so that you can assist us. The ballot, this will be the ballot paper. That is important. How long will it take? So that we can be able to design in the real general election, this is how we'll do it.
All right.
How many streams? How do we map our polling stations? All these things, this will help us to do it.
All right.
We are very happy. At least one NGO has thought also of doing mock elections somewhere else. So I think it's a good idea. We need to know how long it will take.
Okay. So assuming you do that mock election, you said in Kajiado and Malindi?
Yes.
When is it?
The 24th of this month, Saturday.
Of this month, okay.
This month.
So assuming you go and find out that we will need 48 hours to vote, do you have recourse in law? Do you have power in law to say election is for 2 days or 3 days?
I'm sure you know planning. You can increase the time, you can increase the manpower. So this
but do you have that mandate in law?
I think the election is specific. 1 day election from this time to this time. And I think we will do it within that time.
So will it be a constitutional crisis then if you realize that you have to vote in 2 days?
That will be routine administrative things. We'll do it, and that's why we want to know it. Then we will change other parameters other than time.
How many polling stations are you planning to set up as a commission? Have you come up with a figure?
No, I think that's part of the mapping we are talking about. We must, first of all, we have just down the boundaries.
All right.
We have increased the constituencies from 210 to 290. We have 1,450 wards, and these wards are different from the civic wards. So we have these things. Once we start the registration centers will become polling stations, streams, and all will depend on the number of people who will register.
All right. Charles, very quickly, do you think this will present a problem? Because we are voting for 6 people as opposed to 3, it was earlier.
I don't think so. I think IEBC is conscious of, as a body mandated to manage the election, is conscious of the dynamics of a more complex election. And from what I've heard, not only just now, but even in our interactions with IEBC, it's clearly something that they are addressing in terms of the administrative management of the election.
Okay.
So I don't see it as a problem.
Let me do audience. The gentleman in a suit, second row.
My name is Evans Masi from Narok County. The first question is, there were rumors that the IEBC was to adopt an electronic system. We would need as a wananchi clarity on that. Secondly, as a lawyer, Mheshimiwa Namwamba should know that justice delayed is justice denied. And as Kenyans, we feel that we should have our elections this year. And the IIBC is delaying it to next year, and we feel awful about it. Thirdly, you raised a matter that still the election dates can be changed in 3 ways, of which you named. Now, are we still not clear on the elections date? Let's take, for instance, the government or the politicians decide to change the dates again. What clarity can you give on the election date so that we stop living in doubt and know the exact date of which we are going to vote in Kenya?
Evans, thank you. I'll start with Honorable Babu. Some of those questions have partially been responded to. Honorable Babu, you can respond. Then I'll go to Commissioner
Justice
Sharai.
delayed is justice denied. And I believe that Kenyans know, and I agree with them, that the consummation of the new constitutional order can only happen through that first election. Because it's through that first election that Kenyans will exercise their fresh sovereignty by electing a new government. And I also agree with you that this uncertainty has to be removed. And that's why we need to commend the IEBC for biting the bullet and giving us a date we can even start working with. And I want to tell Kenyans that rather than put pressure and question the IEBC, can you now start pressurizing your members of parliament? If you want a December election, it's within the mandate, the power, the legislative authority of parliament to amend the constitution and fix the election date in December.
Okay.
You can count one Ababu Namwamba in your corner. Just get more so that you can get the 2,000 majority.
Thank you. Chao, very quickly. You come from Taita, isn't it?
Yes.
Are you an aspirant?
Yeah, I am an aspirant.
What are you vying for?
Woman rep.
Have your people are going to encounter 6 ballot papers like we have been told?
Yes.
Do you think they have capacity to handle those ballot papers within the polling station?
Yeah, IEBC is doing a good job. And what I would say maybe is for the IEBC and the other bodies to move very fast and we do civic education. Because 6 people is quite a big number and not all people have gone to school. There's also the illiteracy level. But I think IEBC is on course and I think we're going to have a good election.
All right.
Yes.
Engineer Sharawe, there was a question on electronic voting. Which way are we going? Are we going to vote electronically? Is it manually?
Picking from there, I think the voter education is important. And we are in the process of accrediting the providers, the voter education providers. Very soon the commission will advertise, we will accredit them and train them. Curriculum has already been developed so that we use only one curriculum from that. And I think this is,
when do you think,
education is, the curriculum is ready.
When is it starting, this process?
I think next month or so, this will be done. So voter education is going to be an important thing, even in the mock.
All right.
Now, you know that we had some constituencies where we had electronic registration and others manual. Now, the whole thing has now to be changed, more complicated electronic system which will capture not only the thumb, but all 10 of them and their face. So everybody will be on that. The registration is likely to start in August for 30 days. The register will be combined within 30 days in September, and then 30 days there will be an inspection period.
Let me get you clearly.
Yes.
Are Kenyans expecting to vote electronically or manual?
No, it's not a voter. It's not voting electronically. It's registration electronically.
Okay, so
those are two different things.
The voting will be manual.
Voting will be manual. Registration will be electronic.
Related to that,
yes.
Related to that, because there are two issues here. There is the voting, then there is the tallying of results. How do you plan to tally the results?
I think the tallying itself also will be manual, but the submission of the result will be electronic. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Charles, what can you advise the country in terms of the voting system?
I mean, I think in terms of the voting system, I think IEBC is managing that well. I think the only comment I would make on the comment made by my brother there about justice delayed being justice denied is, we the people of Kenya adopted a constitution with certain provisions. We had many options at that time, one of which would have been to have that election immediately the constitution was passed, but we didn't adopt that option. We also had the option of stating categorically in that constitution that the first election would also be in August, so there would have been no issue of transitional provisions. What we have now is a scenario where we have this transitional election and the interpretation mandate is given to the courts. Okay. So let's have faith in the institutions that we created in the constitution that we adopted.
Thank you. Honorable Babu, the electronic voting electronic tallying system, do you feel that this system can endear itself to fraud? Because we recently saw government websites being hacked. So are we saying we are going to prevent electoral fraud in this new system? Are we not?
What is important in any electoral contest is integrity. The integrity of process, the integrity of the results. And so what the IEBC should be investing in, and I want to believe they are investing in, is a process that can guarantee that the registration process, the balloting process, the tallying, and the ultimate result will be beyond reproach in terms of integrity. Whether they are going to do that manually or they are going to do that electronically, those are details, but we want a process that is beyond reproach. Among the things, Jason, that we really wish to see the IEBC do is increase the number of polling stations, for instance, considerably. Increase the number of polling officials so that you have as many Kenyans as possible easily accessing the voting process.
Thank you. Yeah. There's a forest of hands in the audience. I'll start from my left, the lady, second row.
I'd like to know what measures you'll put in place to ensure that political parties adhere to the Political Party Act and they do what has been stipulated in the Act and not seem to do what has been stipulated, because that has been the case generally. And this question goes to Mheshimiwa Ababu Nawamba. What does Orange, in Orange Democratic Party, stand for us as citizens?
Thank you. One more from the gentleman in spectacles. Yes.
Ken Okoth, I'm from Kibera, and I wanted to ask a question also about safety and security. Are we really ready for free and fair elections when our people in Kibera are living in fear and they're talking on the ground about going away so that they won't be around when it's time for clashes and giving up their right to vote?
Thank you, Ken. You can respond to.
Thank you. First of all, election is for all of us. For election to be fair, free, I think all of us must take part in that. For us to be ready for elections, all of us must be ready. I think that is absolutely important. Therefore, we are working very closely with the security agents. For the first time, the Commission has been given powers to investigate and prosecute. I think that has also, that is something even was denied to more crucial bodies than us. I think that is a good sign that that fate has been done. And I think political parties, I think they have no choice. They have to comply with the law. And the Commission...
You have powers to rein in on them.
Yes. I think only 5 of them have now been registered. So if the rest don't comply, then they will not take part in the elections.
Thank you.
So I think that is absolutely important. Therefore, people will follow the law. You can also monitor them. Actually, you can monitor because it says there should be no harambe, people should not use public resources. You are our representative.
Thank you.
You are the public representative.
Thank you.
Report to them.
Thank you, Commissioner. Honorable Babu, there was a question. What does ODM stand for? There was a question directed to you.
We are the party of Maisha Bora, better life for all Kenyans. And really, by the way, this is no jokes. We are a party that is anchored on liberal democracy that allows full participation of the people. That's why we're the only the party that can manage a nationwide grassroots election and even allow internal competition for all positions within the party.
And that's where the curtains fall for Agenda Kenya this week. I thank my panel, my studio audience for that wonderful and insightful discussion. You can be part of this even if you're watching us from home by answering this question. Do you trust the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission? Text your response to the number on your screen. Give us your name and where you're watching us from. You can also catch us on Twitter using hashtag Agenda Kenya and also our link on Facebook. And until next week, goodbye.